Welcome to The Explainer. Listen, I am so incredibly pumped you're hanging out with us today because we're embarking on a truly visceral journey. Today, we're diving deep into the raw psychology of extreme ambition. We're going to strip away all those glossy, Instagram-filtered versions of success to look at the unvarnished reality of the do-it-alone mentality. If you've ever felt like an outsider just because of your relentless drive, or if you've ever really wondered what it actually takes to be truly exceptional, well, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's dive into this. You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it. This totally sets the intense, relentless tone for exactly what we're talking about today. Look, to achieve anything monumental, you absolutely have to be willing to break away from the comfortable majority. You have to mold yourself in the shadows, putting in those quiet, completely uncelebrated hours of work where literally no one is patting you on the back. No one is waking you up telling you to be better. It's all about building belief when you have absolutely nothing else. This brings us to phase one, the choice to walk alone, and breaking away from the comfortable majority.
The foundational truth we have to face is this. The higher you go, the more you walk alone. And you might be wondering, why is that? Well, it's because the air up there is getting way thinner. It becomes harder to breathe, and the climb becomes incredibly steep. Simply put, as you ascend, fewer and fewer people are willing to invest the insane energy required to just keep climbing. Isolation isn't just some accident on the path to greatness. It's an inevitable feature of the landscape.
And this brilliantly illustrates what it takes to make that lonely climb. It requires a massive mindset shift. There is such a stark contrast here between winners and losers. Losers? They tend to define themselves by what happened to them. The setbacks, the bad luck, the general unfairness of it all. But winners define themselves by what they make happen. They take complete agency over their path. They look right in the mirror and say, I am going to build this brick by brick, and I'm going to fight for it, because absolutely no one is handing it to me.
So let's move into phase two, surviving the messy middle. This is where we see the real psychological toll of extreme ambition.
Making the choice to be great thrusts you right into this agonizing societal gap. On one hand, you become too different to fit in with your old friends. They're texting you like, oh, you're not going out again this week? What, are you too good for us now? And you really feel the pain of being ostracized. But on the flip side, you haven't produced the tangible outcomes yet to fit into a new group of friends. So you're trapped. You're in this isolating, messy middle where you are paying all the brutal costs of ambition, but you're reaping none of the visible rewards yet.
During this phase, you are completely on your own. It's like a single clap in a massive auditorium for a very, very long period of time. I mean, that visual is just so powerful, right? People generally only root for those who don't even need it anymore. They cheer when you've already won. But when you're in the messy middle, doubting if your sacrifices are ever going to pay off, that's when you need support the absolute most. And sadly, that's exactly when you'll find yourself entirely alone. You must be your own biggest cheerleader. It's just the slow clap of you rooting for you. Sitting in that lonely auditorium, you're going to face what we call the matrix choice. You'll hit these rock-bottom moments where you have zero signs of success, and you'll think, man, I could just go back, I could just blend in. It's exactly like that scene when Trinity opens the car door for Neo. The pull of warm, comfortable conformity is right there waiting for you. But listen, if you walk through that door and go back, you are choosing the specific hell of looking in the mirror every single day, knowing exactly who you could have been, and knowing you settled for less.
All right, phase three, the mechanics of obsession. This is all about execution in the dark.
If you actually choose to push through that messy middle, you enter a totally new reality. Because building an exceptional life has a very specific framework. First, you've got to turn off the tech, get away from all the noise, and figure out your truth in the dark. Second is the planning phase. Now, everybody loves this phase, right? It's comfortable, it's safe. But the third, the execution phase. Actually, scratch that. We all secretly hate this phase because this is where the real suffering begins. This is where the failures happen over and over again and where the actual hard work gets done.
And to execute at that high level, you have to master Parkinson's law. This law states that work naturally expands to fill the time you give it. Think about it. Give yourself 8 hours to do a 2-hour task, and you better believe it's going to take 8 hours. Highly effective people separate themselves from the pack by setting tight, stringent, highly disciplined deadlines on themselves. They intentionally compress their time to get vastly more done while their competition is just casually moving along.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the crucial distinction here, which is perfectly captured by a story about Kobe Bryant. Kobe wasn't just interested in winning. The guy was completely obsessed. See, interested athletes train to win on match night, but obsessed athletes, they train to absolutely dominate. They train so intensely in the shadows that by the time the stadium lights come on, winning is simply inevitable.
Interested people sit back and watch, but obsessed people, they literally change the world.
And what time does obsession wake up? 3 a.m. This is the definitive hour of the grind. Now, why on earth 3 a.m.? Because absolutely no one else is running at 3 a.m. There are no cars, no people, just you and the quiet darkness. When everyone else is tucked in bed, dreading that it's a Monday and getting weaker, you are out there getting stronger. That right there is where you gain the ultimate unbridgeable advantage.
Effort beats talent when talent doesn't try. I love this mantra. Look, there might be people way smarter than you or way more naturally gifted. That's just life. But they will never outwork you if you are grinding 24/7 in the shadows. The quiet hustle makes the loudest impact. If you can string together 365 days of relentless, unyielding effort without cheating yourself, you simply become undeniable.
Which brings us to the final stretch, Phase 4, the true cost of winning. It's time to strip away the romanticism.
Because all of this effort, it comes with a massive, massive bill. Reaching your absolute full potential requires an almost unhealthy level of dedication. Take Vincent van Gogh, for example. Dedicating your entire life to your craft can genuinely feel like losing your mind in the process. When you are truly all in, you are pushing the absolute furthest boundaries of what society considers normal or even balanced. It isn't just a hobby, it is an all-consuming fire.
I want you to treat these costs like a mirror. Look closely, because this is the specific price of being all in. We're talking early mornings and incredibly late nights. We're talking about being deeply, deeply misunderstood by the people closest to you, having very few friends who actually operate on your wavelength, and being your sole cheerleader when the chips are entirely down. You have to ask yourself, are you truly prepared to pay this exact price? Because honestly, you can't hold the trophies without enduring the training ground first.
But when you do endure, and you push through all that crushing isolation, I want you to remember this. Success is the only revenge. It's not just the best revenge, it is literally the only one. For the people who doubted you, who laughed at you for staying in and grinding on a Friday night, the only thing you can do is win so incredibly big that they are absolutely forced to constantly compare themselves to you.
But securing that level of success means stepping straight into the fire. Everybody's great when they're not tired. That is so true, isn't it? True greatness, champion-level greatness, is forged specifically at the exact moment your comfort zone is completely shattered. It's when your lungs are burning, your muscles are screaming at you, and you feel like you cannot take another step. When you are totally, utterly exhausted, that is when the real dog comes out. That is when you actually level up.
So, the crucial point is this absolute brutal truth. Winning is not fair. And it is certainly not loyal to you. Winning does not care how sore you are, how much sleep you lost, or how many sacrifices you made along the way. Sometimes you can do absolutely everything right, you can totally outwork the other guy, and guess what? You can still lose. It demands absolutely everything you have, and it promises you nothing in return. But you know what? That is exactly what makes the pursuit itself the ultimate test of your character.
And that brings us to the final, lingering question I really want to leave you with today. Knowing those extreme costs, knowing the painful isolation of the messy middle, and knowing that winning promises you absolutely nothing at the end of the day, are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? Are you willing to embrace the messy, lonely journey of ambition anyway? Really think on that. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and whatever you do, keep pushing your limits.